right, welcome back to another episode of the Karter Cast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. With me, as always, is Connor Sparrow. Before we get into today's podcast, let's do a little podcast update, Connor. Let the people know what to expect for a little bit.
Let's do it.
All right, so this week, 4th of July week, we're recording right now, Sunday night, 1 a.m. Eastern. This will be our only podcast this week. We're not going to do one Wednesday or Thursday. Monday podcast, this is when you're listening right now. Happy 4th of July, blah, blah, blah. We recorded a sports video game draft with our good friend, MLB The Show, Twitch streamer, Trotty Boy, Tanner Smith. He was on. He'll be on next week. So next week you'll be listening to our sports video games drafts. And we're going to warn the people right now, they're going to hate the board. They're going to absolutely despise the board. It is very controversial, I'll just say that.
It's a banger episode, though, I got to say. It was fun to record.
And I'm just going to let you know right now, one person destroyed the draft. It's not even going to be remotely close. I'll just let you know right now. But so that's coming next week. And then after that, we're going to be doing 2 to 3, maybe 4 more draft episodes that are just going to be full draft episodes. Starting the second week of August, it's going to be 2 episodes a week every single week, posting Mondays and Thursdays. Connor, we're going to be recording on Sunday night, late Sunday nights. Wednesday nights is where we're going to do the main football pod previewing the weeks. We're going to be doing our college football preview, the Best Bets show, the mega NFL preview. We go through every team, the win totals, our favorite futures, and all that with Brian. We're going to have some other guests on. Hopefully have Big Game Boomer back on for college football stuff. We got a lot planned coming up.
Big Game Boomer, come back on our podcast and get some clickbait because we know people love to attack you on Twitter.
But yes, we will be. So starting in August, second week of August, through the end of the year, through a very long time, it's going to be Mondays and Thursdays. No matter what, every Monday, every Thursday, even if it has to be solo one day, even if we have internet issues, whatever it is, Mondays and Thursdays, all fall. Clips are going to be going crazy. I cannot wait for football.
And who is ready for the Karter Cast podcast parlay to come back? Because we hit at a ridiculous rate last year. And I'm not gonna lie, I've enjoyed the extra funding. It has all gone away now. I need some more.
Yeah,
so.
The debt collectors come back after the NBA playoffs. We've got a big tab to pay, and we're gonna use it by using the Karter Cast podcast parlay every week. And then also, if we have interviews like random coaches or former players coming on, those are going to be separate episodes. Those are going to be their own single episodes. We're not going to load those onto another, draft show or NFL Best Bets thing. That's going to be its own single episode with that person, whether it be, former player, whatever. And then for the website part of things, cartercast.com, you can see right above me, presented by cartercast.com. For the website, I'm going to be posting a bunch of my futures for college football and NFL on there right now. I've got all those articles ready to roll. They're scheduled, ready to roll every single day, posting Monday through Friday. Got Wimbledon plays coming up right now. Wimbledon starts tomorrow. I don't have them for tomorrow. I have them for Tuesday. I got my Tuesday picks ready to roll. And also, we're going to post random blogs on there. Connor, I'm expecting some random blogs as well coming up. And then also, before we get into today's show, make sure to please subscribe to keep up with the show. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon, Pod Talk, even Pod Talk. Pod Talk's still around. I know. They're hanging around. YouTube, anywhere you're listening or watching, make sure to hit the subscribe button, please. It'll make sure you keep up with the show, gives you notifications whenever we're recording. Whenever we might even start doing some live stuff here, maybe like TikTok Live or Twitter Spaces type deal. We want to start. We're going to start ramping things up once football starts. And check out all the clips and blogs and everything on cartercast.com and all our social media. Follow us on social media. You can see our Twitter handles right below, like the name tag's right here or whatever, and the Twitter tag is right next to it, right there, when you're watching on Spotify or YouTube. So make sure to follow us on there. And also, last thing, timestamps are in the episode description. So if you're ever bored with a segment, you're like, if these idiots have to stop talking about the Hornets, I want to hear them talking about how fat they are. Skip ahead to the end. We have timestamps all down there. So scroll down to the episode description. You can click, it's at 46:28. Exact timestamps. You'll skip ahead. Super easy.
Yeah, all sounds good to me, Carter. I mean, we got content for everybody. If you don't like our little Hornets, Panthers rants, that's fine. Maybe we'll do a live for Bryce Young Rookie of the Year ceremony. I mean, who knows?
Oh, I will. We will get a trophy and everything. I need to order. I'm going to DH gate a Bryce Young jersey. It's inevitable. And then
just don't do the teal. Don't do the teal, Carter. It doesn't come out.
No,
right.
no. The China does not understand the teal. It's
China.
You got to go black or white.
Yeah, you do.
And then last thing, drafts. A bunch of drafts are coming up. Super exciting. They're not all going to be sports related. Some might be sports related, but a lot of them are going to be random ones. One coming up, we'll preview a little bit. Public school draft. Very, very excited for that one. That one's going to be very fun.
I think there's going to be some interesting picks in that one. There's a lot of different directions you can take that one. And also, I'll just say, if anybody listening has any ideas for a draft we should do, shoot us a DM, send us an email. We're always open to ideas. We're always looking for new content, so that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, and if you didn't check out our last couple drafts, Fat Guy Moves draft with Ben, and Worst Pickup Basketball Guy draft with Adam Stanko last week, phenomenal pod last week. What an absolute banger of a pod. Make sure to check it out. It was a fantastic one. Adam Stanko, our favorite guest. I'm willing to say it.
Our favorite guest. I couldn't agree more. Our most reliable guest.
Anything else for the podcast update? I know that took a little longer than I thought.
Just excited for football. Summer's going to be fun. There's going to be drafts, but I'm really ready to get back into football as well. So I think it's all going to time out pretty well.
Okay, perfect. And once again, if you're listening, timestamps are below. So, you probably skipped ahead to this point. We're going to actually start talking ball now. So today's show, we're going to talk free agency. Free agency's been crazy. The Damian Lillard saga, a little bit of James Harden, and winners and losers of free agency. Before we get into that, though, I need to say this. I'm blocked by Woj, and it has been a disaster trying to keep up with everything with the Twitter rate limit thing, and then also having to deal with being blocked by Woj, having to go on like a random burner Twitter account I only follow Woj. It's only Woj tweets, and then but also like those notifications don't come in right. It's been a disaster. I'm trying to keep up. I'm probably going to mess up on a couple of these free agencies.
So what I'm hearing, Carter, is you have two accounts because you keep exceeding your rate limit. How about you just pay for Twitter Blue, buddy? Come on.
I might. I guarantee you we'll have a Twitter Blue subscription around August.
I think we're going to have to. If they limit us to 600 tweets, come on.
I know. Or we just go on Truth Social. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Very true. Can't argue there.
We're already on there. So, all right, today's show, winners and losers of free agency. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I do. So the first winner I've got here, we're gonna stick at the top of the league. I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns, and they made a big splash trading for Bradley Beal. We already discussed that pretty much in detail a couple episodes ago. That's not part of this winners and losers. We're talking NBA free agency since June 30th. I think the Suns pretty much maximized their potential for what they could do. They had Kevin Durant, they have Booker, they have Beal, and they have DeAndre Ayton. I know you saw all the graphics. Oh, we have this much money committed to 4 players. They can only sign this many players and stay under the cap, second apron. If you look at the moves they made, Drew Eubanks, Damian Lee, Keita Bates-Diop, Chizimi Metu, Josh Okogie, Yuta Watanabe, and Eric Gordon. I think that's as well as you can do around the fringes, Carter. None of those guys are making over $5 million a year. A lot of them are making the minimum. And I think especially they hit the home run today with Eric Gordon. That's a proven playoff guy. He's been on a lot of bad teams. He's been itching to get back to playoff contention, contender level. He's been in the league a long time. Very reliable. You can trust him in a playoff scenario. And I think they really did as well as they could around the fringes, Carter. I think they got better even while having that much salary committed to their 4 top players.
I think it's a win, too. They're in the mix now, like fully in the mix. Maybe with Chris Paul you weren't, and I know a lot of people have concerns about Bradley Beal playing 65-plus games a season. We haven't seen it fully. We haven't seen him average his max amount of points per game since 5 years ago when he wasn't, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Long story. But they're in it. Like, you name their guys. They're starting 5 that's going to be on the court. Yes, they don't have a pure point guard, and it's going to be a lot of take-your-turn basketball. But they have 2 of probably the top 3 or 4 best ISO guys in the league in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the guys I just named off, so I named off 7 guys. You add on they re-signed Josh Okogie. If you look at those 8 guys, those 8 role-playing guys, if 4 of those can perform this year and get rotational minutes and can be in a playoff rotation and you can trust them to play 15 minutes in a playoff game, that's a huge win. That's a huge win. They don't have to take on huge scoring roles. These are 3-and-D guys. Hit the corner 3, guard the other team's best player so your superstars don't have to. And you mentioned the part about not having a true point guard. I don't think it's going to hurt them as much as people think. You think about Kevin Durant, you think about Devin Booker, and you think about Bradley Beal. Those are three guys that I trust to initiate the offense for different parts of the game. Now, I wouldn't trust one of them to do it 100% of the time. I don't think they would want to do that. But those are three guys you could ask to bring the ball up the court, to get the ball at the elbow, top of the key, and initiate an offensive set. They can split the difference. And you got Campaign off the bench still. I mean, you got a couple other guys, Eric Gordon. I think they're going to make it work. I'm not saying a true point guard wouldn't help them, but there's only 5 spots on the court. 3 of them are taken up by Booker, Beal, Durant. You need to have a big man, so 3-and-D wing, point guard. It just depends on what lineup works the best.
My favorite thing that's going to happen next season is when Metu starts playing over Ayton in the playoffs because Ayton's getting bullied by Kevon Looney.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, that's inevitable. I mean, you know what, though, Carter? I think Ayton might be gone off the team by then, so.
Yeah, that's probably
Maybe.
true.
Maybe.
They might have to spread it out. I don't know. Winners? I don't have a lot of winners. Is that crazy to say?
I don't think
agree
it's
with
crazy.
the Phoenix Suns.
I think there was a lot of overpays the last few days, but I think it's because they kind of had to.
Yeah, it's a lot of teams that had to, like the Charlotte Hornets having to give LaMelo Ball the Supermax. Honestly, the Hornets are kind of a winner right now. Obviously, we don't know what they're going to do with P.J. Washington. It seems like they're basically deciding between Grant Williams and P.J. Washington. I don't know how that's even a debate. The answer's very clear. It's P.J. Washington. Even if it's a little bit more money, it's P.J. Washington. I don't understand why this is even a question right now. It's scary as a Hornets fan. You get Miles Bridges back at a low contract, at a low number. Yes, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year, but also this gives you the opportunity to trade him before the deadline next year. I don't if we're really, really bad next year, why would we not ship Miles Bridges off to a team competing?
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's just a matter of how much you can get in return for him because at the end of this deal, like you said, he'll be unrestricted. So he could, if a team's confident he'll re-sign, maybe they'll give up more for him. The point you bring up about Grant Williams, I mean, he basically became unplayable in a couple of those playoff series last year. I'm not saying he wouldn't contribute on the Hornets, but I don't want to play him over P.J. Washington. I don't want to play him over Miles Bridges. I don't want to play him over Brandon Miller.
That's what I was going to say, Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I don't want him to take minutes away from Brandon Miller. Yes, he can play the 2 a little bit. Miller can, but come on. He's a 3 or a 4 in this league, and that's what he's going to be. I think the Hornets, that's a fair winner. They had to sign LaMelo to that big contract. Everybody was saying, LaMelo's going to be the first person to turn down the rookie max extension, and he's going to go to LA and make endorsement money.
I was saying that.
I said the same thing. I wasn't confident, but I was like, they got to be careful or he could do that. Thank God he didn't. And, we mentioned this before the show. It's 5 years, $207 million. It's up to $260. So only $207 is guaranteed. The other part kicks in if he makes an All-NBA third, second, or first team, which honestly, the league is so talented at the guard position. I don't really foresee that happening in the next few years. And if it does, it's a huge bonus, and it's worth it.
Exactly. And then also, we don't have the roster construction that would allow him to be an All-NBA player.
Yeah, I agree. But the Hornets did what they had to do. I hope they bring back PJ, but if, we can leave off the Miles Bridges off the court stuff and how you feel about him, but for the type of player he is on the court, they got him in a bargain for this year. He's betting on himself, and LaMelo isn't signed for the foreseeable future. He's become the king of Charlotte, some may say, and I think it's a good franchise cornerstone to have.
I have another winner.
Hit me.
The Golden State Warriors.
Okay. For one reason.
Not just one reason. There's a few reasons. One, I think Chris Paul's going to work out very well in Golden State because he doesn't have to play all year. He's not going to be looking to play 80 games and put wear and tear on his body. He gets to play, and he's going to have so much space on the court. He takes a weight off Steph and Clay. He's going to get them the ball. They're going to be able to play off ball. They re-signed Draymond Green to a decent contract. It's really not that bad. It's 4 years, $100 million.
I think that's
not
fine.
that bad. You're going to have to pay in the luxury tax, but the Warriors are typically fine with that. And the other underrated part about going into next season is the Jordan Poole crap behind the scenes is gone. I know it sucks you got rid of a guy who was kind of a heat check guy, but he's going to be gone. Andrew Wiggins is going to have a full offseason. That personal issues are behind him now. That he's going to be with the team and everything. Hopefully, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be right in the mix. If I had to put between, I know Bill Simmons was saying the Lakers were that's another winner we can get into, but the Lakers are now should be the favorite in the Western Conference. I don't know why everyone's discounting the Warriors so much.
I agree. The guys are clearly coming back for a reason. Draymond came back for a reason. And with the Poole contract, it's addition by subtraction. It really is. You're taking away the distractions. You're getting a proven playoff vet in Chris Paul. And I think what those couple of moves signals is that they're done trying to do the whole develop young players next generation while the older guys are still here. A lot of people have said they wasted a year of Curry last year. I kind of agree. I think they're starting to realize they have to move their timeline around a little bit and say, all right, we're going all in for the last 2 or 3 years. These guys are all competing at a high level, and let's see if we can get one more. And I completely agree. With a guy like Curry, generational talent, you can't waste around trying to develop young guys and kind of, closing that championship window earlier than it should be.
And an underrated part, too, about Chris Paul coming in is, like I mentioned before, what happened when he went into OKC with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and all those young guys. Those young guys get to learn from Chris Paul. And Shai Gilgeous is a completely different player from before he played with Chris Paul and after. And now he gets to work with guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. That's who they need in that locker room. Maybe Steph Curry isn't the exact veteran leadership cliche that we all like to say and stuff on TV and whatever. But Chris Paul is that guy.
And plus, Chris Paul's on the same page as Curry, Clay, Draymond Green. It's like, all right, I've got a few years left at this level in the league. I want a ring. It's now or never pretty much. Whereas Jordan Poole and some of those other guys are like, all right, we won a ring. Now it's my turn. Now I'm next up. Why am I not 30 minutes
That's a good point. There's going to be real desperation from Golden State. But yeah, I think Golden State's a winner here. Give me another winner.
Yeah, so my next winner, you mentioned it briefly, the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm not going to go as far as to say they're title favorites or they're going to make it out of the West, no doubt. The Austin Reeves contract is the best contract of the offseason.
Unbelievable. It does not make sense.
I don't know how there wasn't another team, and you're going to hear everybody say this, so I'm probably beating a dead horse here. How is there not another team that made them match a higher offer? I don't understand. If you're the Spurs or the Rockets even, or a team with cap space, why wouldn't you match that offer? Just offer him $4 for 90 whatever million and make the Lakers match it. Because they're going to do it no matter what. Now they got him in a bargain. He's making less than Rui. He's making less than Harrison Barnes. It's the best contract of the offseason so far.
It makes zero sense. It's the silliest thing in the world because he is a $20 million per year player. Like he is. We saw that in the playoffs. The fact he's making less than Rui, who is even more unproven than him, who only was good during the playoffs. So Austin Reeves was good all season. At the end of games, you were almost more comfortable with Austin Reeves with the ball than LeBron at times, running the pick and roll with AD. So I don't understand it. It's the best contract in the NBA right now. The fact they got him to agree with that, I don't know if there's money behind the scenes getting thrown at him, if they got him like that shoe sponsorship. They're like, hey, we're going to get you that shoe sponsorship. You re-signed with us, but a lot of that money is going to be in that shoe sponsorship with like that Chinese shoe or whatever he signed with.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you look around the board with the Lakers also, I mean, they had to pay Rui. That's the thing. You can't really lose that. I mean, you got to take the risk. You can always attempt to trade that contract later on. They signed D'Angelo Russell back. I know a lot of guys are going to be like, he was unplayable in the playoffs. It's not that much money. It's only 2 years. I wouldn't be shocked if he's gone after the first year. Gabe Vincent, I think, is a great signing. I don't know if he's going to be what he was with Miami, but it seems like a perfect guy to pair with LeBron, off the ball, defensive, hard-nosed point guard who can hit the open three off the catch.
And that's the other thing. Really look at this is, who would you rather have, Gabe Vincent or Dennis Schroeder?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm taking Gabe Vincent after that run last year. I really am. And Dennis Schroeder was good for the Lakers, but Gabe Vincent signed for what, 3 years, $33 million? That's pretty good for a starting point guard that made the finals last year. Taurean Prince, I texted you as soon as it happened. I think that's an underrated pickup. I think he's going to be in the rotation come April, May, June. I think he's going to be getting 20, 25 minutes a game. And if somebody else doesn't have it, you can close with Taurean Prince every now and then. I don't think that's awful. Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes, those are toss-ups. They're both making, what, $2.3 million a year? Yeah, so those are toss-ups. One of them could turn out to be good, and if so, that's a win. If not, then you're not hurting either way.
Cam Reddish, every single Lakers fan is going to talk themselves into Cam Reddish being awesome because he's going to have one game in, I don't know, December, January, where he drops like 18 points and he goes like 5 for 5 from 3 and he balls out and everyone's like, dude, we got a steal. We got a top 10 pick for nothing. Like, let's go. And Jackson Hayes is just going to be Mo Bamba 2.0 on the Lakers.
Yeah, I think I agree with that completely. But if one of them turns out and can be a rotational guy, it's a win. If neither of them are, then it's a wash. It's not much money. I got one more winner for you if you want to move on, Karter.
Yeah, I don't have any more winners. So,
all right, last winner for me. This is a sneaky winner. I put a question mark beside it because if you look at the guys this team has signed without the money, you're like, oh, they added some good pieces. Like, this is going to fit around their team. You look at the money, it's a little overpay. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Karis LeVert, they signed back on a $16 million a year for 2 years deal. That's pretty friendly, I would say. They got George Niang, 3 years, $26 million. That's okay. Maybe a little overpay for what the role he's going to be in with them is. Ty Jerome, decent signing. Max Strus is the one I want to bring up. He's getting $16 million a year over 4 years. It's a lot of money for a guy that really disappeared in a lot of playoff games. And if you're looking at him versus Gabe Vincent as guys leaving Miami, going somewhere else, I think Max Strus would be my bet as the one who struggles the most with his new team. I don't really know why he's getting that much more money than Gabe Vincent is. I think Gabe Vincent's in a better system with the Lakers. And you never really want to be the team overpaying for a guy leaving a franchise like the Miami Heat. I've heard that a couple of times, and it couldn't be more true.
Yep, I 100% agree. But also, Max Strus, George Niang, catch and shoot guys.
Exactly. That's why I say
they need catch and shoot. Like, you look at their roster construction, the big thing they're missing is an important wing that can defend. They're still missing that, and then they're also missing catch and shoot guys. And so they I think they solved that. Max Strus, I think there's a bigger question mark there. I wouldn't go as far to say they're winners. I would be more skeptical.
I think they're potential winners. I think those guys, if they pan out how they think they are, they can play in a playoff series. They had no bench shooting last year in the playoffs.
I guess you can say the Celtics are winners too.
That's
blah,
fine,
blah, blah.
yeah.
Or like the Bucks getting their guys back kind of thing. Losers is a lot longer list.
I've got 3 big ones, so you want me to start off? You can go.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
All right. So my first loser, and now you've seen this team get roasted on social media for the last few days, and that's the Houston Rockets. I'm not gonna drag them completely, but here's my reasoning for this, Carter. Obviously, they have the cap space. They got to use it on somebody. They have to meet the minimum. Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Jock Londale, Jeff Green, they're good players. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been signed. They're just giving them too much money. And the thing with the Rockets is Fred VanVleet, a $40 million a year guy. It's Dylan Brooks, $20 million a year after what we saw last year. I just don't know about that. And with the Rockets is you've got such a young team and a young core. You got to find that balance of bringing veteran guys in to mentor them, to get them on the right track, to set a winning culture, as corny as it seems. You got to get them on the right track, but you got to find the balance between that and not bringing in too many guys that have to play 30, 32 minutes a game or they're going to be upset. You can't have 4 or 5 guys, veterans coming in free agency that say, all right, we're the new starting lineup. We have to play 30 minutes a game. And then you're hindering the development of the young guys because you can only play 10-man rotation at the most, I would say. They've got so many young guys that I want to see play. They got Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore rookies this year, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, Şengün, Jabari Smith. There's only 5 positions on the court. So, and those 4 free agents they signed are going to play. They're going to be in the rotation. So I'm really interested to see how they ride that line of, yes, they're mentoring the younger guys and setting a culture, but also not hindering them and not giving them enough burn during the regular season.
My biggest question is, why did they sign Dylan Brooks to 4 years and not 2?
That's the thing. Who are they competing against? Like, who's competing against them saying, we want Dylan Brooks on a long-term deal, so you have to bump it up?
I would feel a lot more comfortable with Dylan Brooks getting the Bruce Brown contract where it's like 2 years, $50 million.
Or the D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, or 4 years, $80 million. 4 years is a long time to be paying someone $20 million. I know the cap is going up. I understand they have to use 90% of the cap, but like, do you really want to just chuck it on to Dylan Brooks?
Right.
I'd rather take my chances going into future free agencies and getting someone who might be a more veteran leadership guy, like you mentioned, or just like a guy like that could just be better. I don't think, and people overreacted to the Dylan Brooks thing. People were blowing it way out of proportion. Dylan Brooks stinks. Dylan Brooks,
he's not going to Guangdong. He's not going to Shanghai. He's an NBA player.
Yeah, speaking of Guangdong, China's getting a lot of love on this podcast.
They are.
China.
China.
Yeah, Rockets losers here because, like you mentioned, they're stunting the development of their young guys.
They are.
In the other respect, though, they kind of had to make a change to where, because they were kind of playing that game where it's like the Kevin Porter Jr., they were playing take-your-turn basketball for guys that aren't good enough to play take-your-turn basketball, like Kevin Porter Jr., Kevin Martin, Jalen Green, and all those guys. So I agree, Rockets are losers there. A sneaky loser is the Sacramento Kings, who's paying a lot of money.
Yeah,
I don't think they're a full-blown loser. Harrison Barnes, 3 years, $54 million. I feel like he's a lot of money for someone that's clearly on the decline. He is not going to play a lot of minutes anymore. And I just don't know if they're like setting themselves up for a trade or if they're setting themselves up. They need one more piece, and it's clear every time Zone's mentioned a guy on the market, whether it's been like Zach LaVine or someone like that, the Kings have always been in that conversation. So I'm a little like kind of curious to see like what the Kings are doing. Like, it just feels like they're bringing everybody back and having to pay a tax on it because they made the playoffs.
That's a fair point, Carter. I'm going to push back a little bit. I feel like the Kings wouldn't have brought Harrison Barnes back that much if there was another splash they could have made. If they liked Kyle Kuzma more, which I'm not sure they did, or if they could have traded for somebody or signed a bigger fish in free agency, I think they would have done that. I think the Barnes deal came because that's all they could do. They didn't want to lose the asset. They didn't want to lose the player. He's a big locker room guy. And there wasn't anything much better they could have gotten to replace him, I think. So I'll give them some slack on that.
Big, fat loser is the Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Jeremy Grant contract. The Jeremy Grant contract is the worst contract of the offseason. 5 years, 160. That's going to be looked back like Nick Batum. That's Nick Batum 2.0 contract. As Hornets fans, we know the Nick Batum contract all too well. And you get like flashbacks seeing that contract. You're just like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
I know what this turns into. This is very, very bad. But the other thing with Portland, they must have known the Dame stuff was coming where they're trading him. And it looks like they're going to have to bring in draft assets because, I mean, they probably signed Jeremy Grant to that deal because they have to hit 90% of the cap because nobody's taking on that kind of money.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point as well. When we look back in a few years, though, you can ask me the question, which contract so far is going to look the worst in the next 3 years? Far and away, Jeremy Grant's contract will be the one.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be getting sent around teams that need to hit 90% of their salary cap. Calories. I know, fat guy move. Talking about calories. But they need to hit 90% of their salary cap, and he's going to be on, like, I don't know, the Magic when they need to hit 90% or something like that.
I mean, if you thought John Collins was shopped around in trade talks for the last couple of years, this is going to be unprecedented in like 2 years. Jeremy Grant is going to be in every single trade. Oh, the Blazers can facilitate this, and they'll dump Grant's salary here, and this will make it match. They're going to be in every trade talk.
Mm-hmm. Any other losers?
I wrote down one more loser, and it's not like a huge loser like they made a bunch of crazy moves. It's the Chicago Bulls, just because they didn't do anything. They're in the same spot. They re-signed Vucevic.
No man's land.
Yeah, they re-signed Vucevic $20 million a year, which on paper it's a fine deal. $20 million a year. He's an above-average starter. Kobe White getting $11 million over 3 years, or $11 million per year over 3 years, and then they got Javon Carter in. Like, those are fine players. Those are fine pieces. They're not any different. The Bulls are not any different, and they are on serious blow-it-up watch. If you want to talk about a team that's on blow-it-up watch, they can only go so many years and be mediocre. And I've heard the argument that is like, oh, they almost had beat the Heat in the play-in, and like, what if they made that Heat-like run? And I really think the Heat's run is going to screw a lot of teams into thinking they can make that run. And in reality, they can't.
No, I think you're 100% right there. You're just stuck in no man's land. That's why I was going to say, like, the Wizards are a loser. But in reality, they're not a loser.
They're
because
not.
They have direction now. They have a direction where they're going to lose games. But they also have, like, Jordan Poole, who's going to be exciting. And if Jordan Poole can, bring his way back into being a consistent – if we're going to be on this podcast next February talking about Jordan Poole's averaging 26 points per game. Like, is he an all-star? We're going to be talking about that soon come because he's going to have so many shots to take in games. And then people are going to talk themselves into Jordan Poole. They're like, oh, he's won a ring. He's been to the NBA Finals. He's averaging 26 points a game. Like, we could bring him in and he could take us to the next level. In reality, it's just, good stats, bad team.
Him and Kuzma are going to have a field day. It's going to be like AAU ball over again. It's going to be jacking threes left and right. Hezzy spin, not get back on defense. It's going to be amazing. That's all I got.
Oh, nice. I just want to talk about my favorite contracts real quick.
Hit me.
Jordan Clarkson, 3 years, 55, I think is a great deal on both sides. I think Jordan Clarkson getting a nice payday. I also think 3 years, 55 is an excellent deal for how good he's been. He has been sneaky, phenomenal in games. He also distributes more now, and he's a heat check guy. He's a legit starter. 3 years, 55, I think, is an awesome team-friendly deal for the Jazz, who also needed to get to that 90% cap. That's why they traded for John Collins.
He closed a lot of games last year, Carter. Jordan Clarkson. He closed a lot of games.
He's been awesome. Another one, insane one. Besides, we already talked about Austin Reeves, whatever. We're going to talk about guys we haven't talked about. Seth Curry, 2 years, $9 million for the Mavericks. That is a great deal. That is a great deal for them. That is another player that's just exactly what they need. Another sneaky one I like, Naz Reid, 3 years, $41 million.
I think that's a little bit. Well, I think if they get rid of Towns or Gobert, that's going to look really well. But if they still have all three of those, he's really going to be capped on how much he plays, Carter.
So I like the contract. I don't like the fit as much.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
That's fair. I agree. I think Naz Reid's a great player.
Yeah, I think $17 million a year for him. That's an awesome deal. Obviously, Miles Bridges, that's a weird situation. Contracts I didn't like. Desmond Bane, 5 years, $200. You have to do it if you're the Grizzlies.
But he's been that guy in a playoff series though, and I think he'll only get better. Yeah,
and I think that's fair. Kyrie Irving, 3 years, $126. I don't think is talked about enough because the Mavs. They are. It's like end of the week. You're down a couple $100, and you're like, you know what? This is it. A $20 parlay to get us back. This is it to get us to the promised land.
I think that's spot on. Oh man, that was great. The thing with Kyrie, though, real quick, who were they? I said this before with Jeremy Grant and somebody else. I said it with. Who are they competing against? Oh, it's Dylan Brooks. Who are they competing against for Kyrie Irving? Who else is going to sign him to this much money over 3 years? The player on the court, Carter, he's worth it. He's worth this much money.
He's so good.
He's a top 6'8" guard in the league when he's playing, without a doubt. It's just how inconsistent he is and how many trade requests he's had, how many internal issues he's had, how many off-the-court issues he's had, suspensions. Is it worth it? If you're the Mavericks, you have to do it. I'm not saying that they made a bad decision, but this has the potential to blow up in their face. It really does. Because if this doesn't work, Luka's gone.
I have another question to ask you. How do you feel about Dante DiVincenzo, 4 years, $50?
That was going to be one I brought up actually when you put it to me. I think it's a good deal. I think he fits in with that Knicks team, kind of gritty, 3-and-D guy off the bench. He's been in some big games, been in some playoff series. He's played with the Warriors, the Bucks, both really good teams. I think it's a good fit. I don't think he's going to come in and start and be an insane player. But a little over $12 million a year for a guy like that who's probably going to play 20, 22 minutes a game, I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. It's just they're just recreating. They're just trying to recreate the 2017 Villanova team or 2018 Villanova team.
When Thibodeau inevitably gets fired or does pretty horrible.
Jay Wright comes in.
Jay Wright, come on in. That's what I was going to say.
Yep. That's what we're going to say right here. That's our prediction for the podcast right now is Jay Wright will be the New York Knicks coach in December of this year.
I would say by next season, if Thibodeau's gone, Jay Wright's in.
Yeah.
I got one.
Anything else?
Yeah, I got one. This is a sneaky one. I don't know how much on-the-court impact he's going to have. Derrick Rose, 2 years, $6.5 million for the Grizzlies. You can call me corny if you want to. They got to turn somehow they got to turn Ja around and get his head right. What better guy to do it than Derrick Rose? He's been around the block. He's battled adversity. Now, his was injury-related, but Ja's battling adversity, whether it be mental, internal, whatever. Derrick Rose has been through something like this. He's been a young, athletic, MVP-level guard and had a drastic career turn. He has. He's been in his shoes. It's not the same situation, but it's pretty parallel. I think this is a good contract, good locker room guy. He's been around the block, like I said. I think he can help Ja turn it around. I really do.
I think it's interesting you bring that up because they play so similar, like Derrick Rose in his prime, and they play so similar. Every time Ja Morant goes up for one of those crazy layups or dunks, you're just sitting there so scared, like, please don't land weird. Please don't land weird.
Yeah. Like I said, the events aren't the same, but Derrick Rose blowing his knee out in the playoffs at the end of that game, and Ja Morant with this whole gun situation being suspended, they were at the height of their careers, and all of a sudden it took a drastic downturn. And Derrick Rose made it back. He made it back to the league. He had 50 with the T-Wolves. He's still around for a reason. I think he will help Ja Morant out tremendously next season.
All right. That's it on free agency?
That's all I got for winners and losers. Yeah, talk about the Bulls. Oh, last one I'll say. The Miami Heat. They've been pretty quiet. And I know all the news. Well, this is a perfect segue to Damian Lillard talk. They've lost a couple guys. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Haven't really got anybody in return. They re-signed Kevin Love. They got Josh Richardson, Thomas Bryant. How do you feel about them, Carter? Are they really just holding out for Damian Lillard?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're kind of trapped in what they can do, really. And I think they're going to put all their eggs into the Damian Lillard basket. You lose guys like Gabe Vincent. But the thing is, as corny as it is, Heat culture is real. So I think they're just going to bring in guys from their G League team.
They're growing them in the lab. They're growing them in the lab right now, Karter.
Yeah, they're just going to have the Caleb Martin pop out of nowhere. They're going to have these guys just coming in. I don't think it really matters. I think the name is just irrelevant. It's just a guy wearing a Heat jersey is just going to do what those guys did. I truly believe that now. It's so hard to not say they will do that. But I think they're putting their eggs in the Damian Lillard basket, and I think you have to. I mean, I think it's the best fit for Damian Lillard. There's a reason why he wants to be there, and we're talking about it now, Damian Lillard. Miami is the best spot for him.
I think Miami is the best spot for him. I don't think he goes there. Karter, I don't think they have enough. You're telling me if you're the Blazers, you're going to trade a guy with that much value for Tyler Hero, who is making a ton of money. He's a great player, but is he on the same level as Damian Lillard? Not even close, not even comparable. He's not proven to be the number one option on the team. So Tyler Hero's contract, you'll probably have to get Duncan Robinson's contract, and a few draft picks from a team that's always good. Like, how those first-round picks are going to be mid-20s, low 20s at the best. If you're the Blazers, you can do Damian Lillard a solid, but you can also take the best offer available and get the most assets in return. The Miami Heat do not have the best offer for Damian Lillard. I think they're the best fit for him, basketball-wise. I just don't see a pathway unless the Blazers do Damian Lillard a solid.
So let me throw out a couple options then. So Brooklyn's been the other name that's always been tossed around right now. Brooklyn doesn't make as much sense to me as people are saying because, one, I don't think Brooklyn's not going to get rid of Cam Johnson or Mikal Bridges if they do this deal.
Right.
But bringing in Damian Lillard, like, where does that really get you? You're kind of an 8 seed-ish, 7 seed, kind of in the same boat that he is in Portland. And why would you give up all those assets for him? I don't understand Damian Lillard to Brooklyn at all.
If Damian Lillard's whole mantra, which I think it is to go somewhere, win a ring, be competitive, the Brooklyn Nets really put you in the same place. He's had better teams in Portland than this Nets team. Not saying this Nets team's not good, but they're a fringe playoff team right now, and adding Damian Lillard is not going to push them into the top 4 of the East. It's just not.
I don't think so either. I don't understand it really. The other names that have been put in there is the 76ers. That makes a lot more sense, but I just don't know if they have enough to give up. It would have to be like a 3-team trade where they send Maxey somewhere, James Harden somewhere,
Tobias
all
Harris.
their future picks. Tobias Harris has got to go somewhere, or you keep Maxey. I just don't know how they do that. But then it kind of runs back to the point where Miami does have the best offer, if that's really where you break it down, is because Miami's willing to give up as many picks as possible, probably. They're willing to give up Tyler Hero and maybe Duncan Robinson as well. But, what else are you going to get from the Nets? What else are you going to get from the 76ers? The only other team, and I'll throw this out there, that can better the assets of any other team is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. I've heard that team mentioned a couple times. They have the assets. So if the Blazers are just looking for this is the best deal, we're going to get the most in return, screw whatever Damian Lillard thinks or where he wants to go, that's probably that's the most they're going to get. It really comes down to, are the Blazers going to give in to Damian Lillard? We're in player empowerment. Damian Lillard's been the franchise guy. He's been great for Portland over the last decade plus. Are they going to give in? The Heat probably make the most sense as far as contenders go. There's not a lot of top teams that it makes sense for him to go to. But I just think if you're Lillard, I'd rather stay in Portland than go to Utah.
Would you though? I mean,
I think I would.
I think I'd rather be in Utah. Also, sneaky part, he played at Weber State, just 45 minutes north of Salt Lake, so he's familiar with Utah. So that's a big thing with getting traded to Utah. It's like this foreign land where everybody's drinking wild sodas and doing hikes, and they're all weird. It's not a foreign land to Damian Lillard. He's been here before. But it also makes sense because every team in the league kind of really has their point guard down besides the Miami Heat and the Nets. And I guess you could say the 76ers without Harden. But the Jazz, he fits right in. He could be partners with Jordan Clarkson. He has John Collins. You have Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler. That starting 5 is a playoff team, at least. I think I argue they are in the top 6 of the West.
I think I would agree with that. I mean, if Lillard goes there, I think it's a good fit. But if I'm taking a player that has no ties to anywhere and I'm saying Portland or Utah, I'm going to say Utah. Lillard's been the guy in Portland for so long. I don't think Utah's that far above him to warrant a move like that, because the Blazers aren't going to get back exactly what he's worth. I think I heard Simmons say this, actually. I'll steal it from him. Any trade for Damian Lillard, the Blazers are going to lose. I really do think.
Yeah.
And they have to be okay with that. But how much better
They
is
kept
Utah,
him one.
really?
They kept him 1 year too long. That's the whole thing with this. And also, I just don't think Danny Ainge is going to go all in on a guy like Damian Lillard.
I don't
unless
either.
he really likes his roster construction, or Will Hardy. Damian Lillard's all bought in, but Danny Ainge isn't going to go all in on a guy that's a 32-year-old guard and that's a smaller guy. That he just doesn't do that.
He's done such a good job of rebuilding the Jazz, getting all those assets. He fleeced the Timberwolves for Rudy Gobert. He got a ton back for Donovan Mitchell. He's done such a good job.
Like, that's the other thing. That's the crazy part about how Danny Ainge is. The Donovan Mitchell part, like, yes, he fleeced Rudy Gobert, blah, blah, blah. But whenever you have, like, a real stud like Donovan Mitchell, 99% of the time you lose that trade.
Yeah.
He got an equal return.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When are teams going to stop dealing with Danny Ainge? Like, if Danny Ainge calls me on the phone and he's offering me a trade, I'm like, oh, man. Like, what does he know?
That's the thing about the Hornets. The Hornets have new owners coming in. Block his number. Do not answer a single call from Danny Ainge.
You know the Hornets are circled on his little, check mark box. It's kind of like when we play fantasy football, and it's like, all right, Karter or Connor, a couple of people in our league, if they're offering me a trade, they know something. This is not in my best interest. We're just going to instantly decline.
I haven't completed a fantasy football trade in probably 2 years.
Well, yeah, me either. For longer, it's just because people are like, oh, they know something. I'm not going to get fleeced and look like
in reality, I'm stupid.
Yeah, we're just trying to spice it up. I know you are. You offer the most trades every year, and nobody will deal with you. It's hilarious.
And I'm getting screwed in some of those trades. Like, I am genuinely getting screwed, and they're like, no. I'm like, oh, whatever. That's a different story. But anyhow, back to Damian Lillard. I think those are the only potential landing spots. Like, Phoenix obviously can't pay him the money he wants. Lakers aren't really in the
I got
mix.
one.
Maybe the Clippers?
You stole me, Carter. You stole it. I was going to say, I don't know what the path is. I just know the Clippers have been involved in so many potential trade talks, whether it be Paul George, they're going to ship Powell and Morris out. They re-signed Westbrook.
But
They've just been so
What could they
involved.
give up?
That's
Are
the
they
thing.
Can they beat the Heat? No.
Well, it depends on if you like Paul George, if you're the Blazers, because you got to give up Paul George in that trade. Maybe they're taking.
I don't think the Clippers would give up Paul George in that trade.
And I don't think they would either. And if you're the Blazers, do you really want Paul George back to pair with Jeremy Grant? What's that getting you?
Yeah, no, you want younger pieces, but nobody's going to give up a good enough younger piece.
So what about like a Terrence Mann and a Norm Powell and a Paul George?
Isn't that already the Blazers roster right now, though, with Simons and Shaedon Sharp and Scoot Henderson?
You're singing a song to the choir right here, Carter. I understand.
So, that's why I'm saying we did this whole song and dance right now for the last, 10 minutes. It's going to be the Miami Heat. He's going to be playing for the Miami Heat this fall. I don't know if it happens this week or it happens next week. It seems like every 4th of July there's one big NBA move, whether it's Steve Nash going to the Lakers back in 2011, 2012, or it's Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. There's always one big move on July 4th, so watch out July 4th. I'm doing the Windhorse thing right now where watch out. What's happening on July 4th? Just be prepared.
I can't fault you for that. I think something's going to happen pretty quickly. It's going to be out of nowhere. It's going to be a bomb, nuke, just complete
a firework.
Firework. A red, white, and blue firework, dare I say. I think it's going to come out of nowhere, Carter, and I think the Heat are a likely destination. I mean, in the age we're in today in the NBA, we've seen players get what they want time and time again. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. It's just a trend that happens. They usually go to where they want to go. It's either going to be the Heat or it's going to be some kind of dark horse team that nobody expected. I don't think there's any other option.
And I think that dark horse team would have to be like the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, but if I'm Lillard, like I said before, we don't have to rehash it. Do I really want to go to Utah? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Last thing, and then we'll close up here. James Harden. We haven't talked about that whole thing where James Harden, it feels like 10 years ago with all the news that's come in. James Harden opts into his deal, but then is now working on a trade with Daryl Morey to figure out where he wants to go. It seems like the Clippers are the destination, but we'll see. Excuse me. It seems like it'll be the Clippers, but James Harden's legacy is he is not going to be looked back on well.
I don't think so either. It's just he's really. Oh, man. I mean, he could have signed for so much money with Houston. He could have signed for so much money again in Brooklyn, and then he forces his way to Philadelphia. And honestly, Philadelphia has been a pretty ideal scenario for him. He's playing with the MVP of the league. He's got some good pieces around him. They probably should have beat Boston last year. I mean, if he showed up in one of those last 2 games, they probably win if Tatum didn't go for 50. But, they were pretty close to the finals is what I'm saying. Where's he going to go? I mean, the Clippers, does Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George...
The Mavericks?
Does Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George past their prime really tickle your twine? It doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, I think they're going to be competitive if they're all healthy.
The LA Crutches.
But can they really play together? I just don't know about that. And then what's the deal for that? Are the Sixers going to take back Norm Powell and Terrence Mann and some picks and be happy? Harden's like a top 7, 8, 5 even guard when he's playing in the league right now.
I just don't get it. It's just gross whenever you think about it, like the way he's moved out. Like,
yep.
Kyrie Irving is taking a lot of heat. I feel like if Kyrie Irving wasn't in the league and wasn't like doing what he does, James Harden would be looked at like Kyrie Irving is, where he is this disgusting scapegoat.
Yeah.
People hate him, and yeah, man, I just get mad even talking about it because it's just so gross and it's so stupid, and it's just.
I'm all for
why? Like at some point, go. Like, what are you doing?
I'm all for
what are you doing?
I'm all for players looking out for themselves and doing what's best for them. But there comes a point where you got to have some shred of loyalty, or hey, we started something here. I want to finish it. Bring these guys back. Let's just a little competitive fire. Like, he's made so much money in his career. He said he wants to sell out for a championship. He took a pay cut for PJ Tucker to sign a contract. Ooh, like. He's made these claims he wants to win, Karter, and yet this continues to happen at every stop. It's his 3rd trade request in the last 3.5 years. It is crazy to me that this keeps happening. If you're James Harden, I just don't know. I don't know what you do with that, and you got to remember who he's dealing with. It's Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey held out for the Ben Simmons deal for James Harden, funny enough. He held out. He didn't trade him when Ben Simmons wouldn't play. He didn't trade him for a bad team. He wasn't, he didn't take pressure from the owners like, this guy's not playing. Trade him for something. Hurry, anything. He held out for the right deal. And I think with Harden, I wouldn't be shocked to see him start the year in a 76ers uniform next year, Karter, or on the roster not playing if it comes to that. But it's not a guarantee he gets moved in the next couple of weeks.
I think you're 100% right. I mean, I think he's going to be a Clipper, and everyone's going to do the same song and dance. We're going to be doing a win totals podcast, and people are going to see the Clippers are 51.5 wins. I don't know why I didn't do it last year, even though I said under, and I wasn't my luck, so I didn't take it. Why on earth would we not just take the Clippers under every year now? Like, there is no point. Kawhi Leonard cannot play more than 50 games. Paul George is not going to play a full season. James Harden, he will be around for a full season, but he's not going to play more than 65 games. This team is not going to be healthy. It's going to be disjointed. They're going to barely make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, first round of the playoffs, they have no continuity, and they're going against a team like, I don't know, Denver, who's played together and just whoops them, and we do the same thing, and Kawhi Leonard gets hurt, and it's just everything all over again.
Do you know how many graphics there are going to be if James Harden goes to the Clippers?
Yes, every freaking NBA aggregator.
Do you know what it's going to say? It's going to say Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Zubats.
Who's stopping them?
How many games is this team winning? Like, okay.
And then the number one quote tweet is going to be like the strip club.
Yeah, or themselves, or like the bitch, or something like it. The crush.
Their feelings.
Yeah, yeah, their ankle, their knee. Yeah, just something like that. I don't think that's a fit basketball-wise. I don't even know what the 76ers would take back for him. And the last point I'll make about this is a big one. We can say Harden to the Clippers, and that's fine, and maybe Daryl Morey is enticed by a Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, bunch of first-round picks. But if you're Joel Embiid, are you wanting to go through another rebuild? Are you wanting to be an 8 seed again? If they don't get anything for James Harden, ring the bell, conspiracy hat on. Joel Embiid is a New York Knick. He's asking out of there.
He's already his camp is already laying the groundwork for him pushing his way out of Philadelphia. If you're Philadelphia right now, things are very scary, looking forward, because you really don't have a real path to make it to a championship level. Joel Embiid he can't play a full season and then still play in the playoffs. We know that for a fact. Like, they're in this weird limbo where they're a lot closer to the Chicago Bulls than they are to, let's say, the Denver Nuggets.
Get the TikTok camera out, Karter. If the 76ers botch this James Harden deal and they don't get a good return for him, if they don't get another superstar, if they just get back some young players and some picks, I think Joel Embiid wants out by the trade deadline. Maybe after this season, but I think you give it 1 year without Harden, and without a second star there, he's going to look around and be like, really? I didn't go through the process for this. I want out. Everybody else is doing it. Why can't I request a trade to where I want to?
He'll be gone so fast. I'll say it right now too. I would be very shocked if Joel Embiid is on the 76ers for next season. This season, he'll be on the team, obviously. Next season, the 2024-2025 season, I would be very surprised if Joel Embiid was in a Sixers uniform.
They're on the clock. The Sixers are on the clock. The Mavs are on the clock with Luka Doncic.
And the Bucks.
And the Bucks are on the clock with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you know what's crazy is that two of those, Luka and Embiid, hinges on Kyrie and James Harden deals.
Yep.
Oh my God, you gotta be pooping your pants if you're the management. And then the Bucks, real quick. I mean, yeah, they got Middleton and Lopez back. That's fine. Run it back. I don't know how much that does for them. I don't know how good they are, and I don't know how much Giannis really likes playing with those guys anymore. I don't think they're going to be a top seed again.
Like, I know they bring in a new coach, but it's going to be stale, I think. I think it's still stale because the play style is still stale. They didn't bring in, like, a veteran leadership. Like, people can compare it to, like, the Golden State Warriors where it may have felt a little stale, but then Mark Jackson gets fired and Steve Kerr comes in.
It's not like that.
It's not the Steve Kerr part of it because, like, Andre Iguodala's there, Draymond Green, they had different free agents. It's the exact same group in Milwaukee right now, so I don't see a lot changing there. It's interesting we bring this up. We're going a lot longer than I thought we would, but who cares? This is fine because I want to discuss this right now is because we talk about international guys. All the American guys are always forcing their way out to player empowerment. Kyrie Irving, James Harden, LeBron James. They're all about themselves. Durant, perfect example, where they're willing to, screw over the team and say, I want out. I want to go to this team. My turn. When are we going to start seeing international guys do it? I think next summer is when we're going to start seeing, these international guys be like, you know what? These American guys are right. Like, screw this. Like, why do I want to sit here and just be on a stale Philadelphia 76ers team?
Yeah, and I think that just goes back to the overarching point of there's so much more international talent in the league now, which we haven't seen in years past. So this really hasn't been like a plausible scenario in past years. Like, you can say Dirk, but he was the most loyal player of all time, spent his whole career with the Mavs. What other real international player has been at the top of the league like this? There's 4 guys at the top of the league right now that are all from a different country, and they all 4 realistically could request a trade. Probably not Jokic, but 3 of the 4 could want out. And I just don't think we've seen this much international talent at the top of the league before. So this has never been like a scenario, and now it's possible, and I think we're going to see it.
And the other thing about Jokic is why he won't do it is because he makes everybody around him so much better. It really doesn't matter as much as who's his co-star. And Jamal Murray's already there. He loves Jokic. They have a great rapport. They got their coach. He's in a great place where he hates the limelight, so you never have to worry about him going to LA or New York. He's in the perfect situation.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think Jokic is there for the long haul. But, man, Embiid, Giannis, Luka, it wouldn't shock me if all 3 of them switch teams within the next 3 years. Seriously.
I'm very, very curious to see that. Next summer is going to be awesome. This summer was fun, but whatever. Real quick before we go, NBA Finals pick for next season. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
No, real quick before we go, Summer League starts tomorrow. I'll be there. I'll be at the Salt Lake Summer League. So I'll do a couple picks tomorrow. I'm going to take OKC -3.5. I'll let you know right now.
You taking Hornets -5.5 against the Spurs?
5.5. 5.5 is absurd.
That is absurd. I know Wemby's not playing, and the Hornets have some guys that have been on the team a couple of years. We've watched those guys, and let me tell you, it doesn't matter if it's Summer League or the G League or the NBA. Some things just don't change.
Yeah, or just don't touch Summer League. That's probably way better advice. But
yeah, take that advice. Yeah, don't bet on the Summer League because that's how you know something's wrong with you.
All right, that's it from us. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, do what you got to do to help out. Check out KarterCast.com for picks and articles. Check out the futures on there this week coming on there, KarterCast.com, KarterCast.com in the episode description. If you're watching right now, it's right above me, right here, presented by KarterCast.com. Make sure to go check it out. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter. The handles are right below, right here. Point down here, Connor. Right there. You
right
can
there.
see the
Do
handle
it.
Right there.
Do it.
Go follow us right now on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're everywhere at KarterCast on everything. Truth Social, like I mentioned before. And we'll be back next week. Sports Video Games Draft with Tanner Smith. It's a great one. We'll be back doing all the drafts and stuff. Football's coming soon. I can't wait. We're going to be doing a lot more drafts, though, coming up. Be excited for that. And make sure to please check out the TikTok as well. Connor, anything else before we go?
just want to say thanks for listening and thanks for doing what you can to help out the podcast. We really enjoy doing this and couldn't do it without all the listeners. So really appreciate that.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.